Have you ever stood outside at night and heard a chorus of coyotes erupt across the darkness? That eerie, rising howl, followed by a chaotic jumble of barks and yips, can make the hairs on your neck stand up. At first it feels haunting, even frightening. But if you listen closely, you're hearing something far more sophisticated than random noise. You are hearing a conversation. Coyotes have developed one of the most complex vocal repertoires among North American mammals, and each sound they make carries meaning. For centuries, people misunderstood these howls, imagining them as omens, supernatural signals, or the sound of large packs gathering for a hunt. But science shows us that coyote howls are not directed at us at all. They are messages to one another, carrying information about identity, territory, family bonds, and survival. Coyotes use 3 core categories of vocalizations: howls, barks, and yips. The long, drawn-out howl is their signature call, and it functions like a megaphone across the landscape. A single howl can travel a mile or more under the right conditions, and it often carries a simple message: I am here. Howls advertise a coyote's presence, but they are not uniform. The pitch, duration, and rhythm vary from one individual to another. Researchers analyzing spectrograms, the visual fingerprints of sound, have found that howls contain unique acoustic signatures, enough that individual coyotes can be identified with surprising accuracy just by the shape of their calls. To other coyotes, these subtle shifts in pitch and modulation reveal who is calling, whether they are dominant or subordinate, and sometimes even their level of excitement or agitation. Barks are a different language altogether. Short, sharp, and noisy, they act as alarms or warnings. While howls are built to carry gracefully over long distances, barks are designed to cut through the environment with urgency. They are aggressive, confrontational, and often directed toward threats, rival coyotes, predators, or even humans. Sometimes coyotes combine the two, producing what biologists call a bark howl, a harsh bark followed by a clipped, shaky howl. This sound is a clear message of, "You're too close, stay back." It is both a warning and a declaration of territory, and it's one of the most common vocalizations people hear when they accidentally wander near a coyote family's space. Then there are the yips, the high-pitched bursts that seem almost playful. These calls are usually heard when coyotes reunite or celebrate, especially after a successful hunt. When several voices layer together, some howling, some yipping, you get the famous group yip howl, the sound most people associate with coyotes. It's one of nature's most impressive auditory illusions. What may sound like 10 or 12 animals calling in unison could actually be just 2 or 3. The overlapping voices, echoes, and pitch breaks trick the human ear into overestimating the number of coyotes by nearly double. To coyotes, though, this sound has a very specific purpose. It reinforces the family bond, acts as a roll call for pack members, and serves as a long-distance marker of territory. Instead of risking direct conflict with neighboring groups, coyotes use these choruses to announce their presence loudly and clearly. Each of these vocalizations reveals something about coyote society. When a lone howl echoes across the desert or the suburbs, it is often a territorial marker, telling neighbors that this space is already claimed. When family members scatter to forage, choruses and assembly calls pull them back together again, often at rendezvous sites near their pups. When danger arises, whether it's a roaming wolf, a domestic dog, or a human intruder, the tone shifts immediately to sharp bursts of alarm barks. Coyotes do not rely on vision or scent alone to organize their lives. Sound is their social network, their defense system, and their family glue. The most intimate use of these sounds appears within the family. During mating season, pairs often howl together in duets that reinforce their bond and broadcast their partnership to rivals. Once pups are born, the vocal landscape changes. Young coyotes produce whines, whimpers, and yelps that communicate hunger, distress, or playfulness. Parents respond with contact calls, grooming, or food delivery. During this period, choruses are especially frequent because parents and older siblings are constantly regrouping and coordinating around the vulnerable pups. These family conversations reveal how much social complexity is hidden within the coyotes' nightly calls. What makes coyote communication especially fascinating is not just the variety of sounds, but the way subtle changes shift meaning. A howl stretched out longer may emphasize location, while a clipped version may signal alertness. A rising pitch at the end can sound like a question, inviting a reply. Bark sequences grow more urgent as they repeat faster. Even the acoustic texture matters. Calls that contain more noise and less harmonic structure come across as harsher and more aggressive, ideal for scaring off intruders. Coyotes, in other words, do not speak in simple categories. They use graded signals, where pitch, duration, and repetition all layer meaning onto the same basic sound. This flexibility also allows for individuality. Just as we can recognize a friend's voice on the phone, coyotes recognize each other's voices in the dark. Studies show that researchers, using machine learning, can correctly identify which coyote is calling most of the time, even across long distances. Each howl is not just a message. It is a signature, an audible fingerprint that carries the identity of the caller through the night air. For scientists, this has opened up a whole new way to study coyote populations without needing to capture or tag the animals. By recording and analyzing vocalizations, they can monitor family groups, track territory boundaries, and even estimate population sizes. So what should we hear the next time a chorus rises outside our window? Not a frightening omen or a call to hunt humans, but a symphony of survival. A family is checking in, announcing their presence, bonding with one another, and maintaining their invisible borders. A lone howl may be a young male searching for space of his own, while a bark howl may be a territorial pair warning off a neighbor. A rapid burst of yips might be the sound of joy after a reunion. These are not meaningless noises. They are sentences in the language of the wild. Coyotes do not howl at the moon, nor do they sing simply for our ears. They speak to each other using voices that blend function with identity, urgency with emotion, distance with intimacy. Their calls weave together the story of territory, family, danger, and triumph. The next time you hear that haunting midnight chorus, pause and listen. Behind the eerie echoes is a living conversation, a language that has guided coyotes through centuries of survival, and one that still fills the night with mystery and meaning.